a great day. Bhaskar talked a little bit about misinformation. I don't think anyone would argue with the statement. Over the last 25 years, please have a seat. Over the last 25 years, the evolution of the internet, pervasive social media, cloud computing, and devices in the hands of literally billions of people has changed the nature of information, the sources at which we go to look for information, and that has had a profound impact on all of us as individuals, our households, our communities, our societies, and even the companies that we work for. So we thought a topic that would be worth some time talking about is a topic around misinformation and building a truth engine. And so please welcome our two guests today, Ivan Williams, CEO and producer of Outer Limits Productions and alumni of UC Irvine, and Professor Vwani Roychowdhury from UCLA, the Samueli School of Engineering and Department of Electrical and Computer Science. Gentlemen, welcome and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so I'm going to kick us off here, and you're going to get some visuals from us. But Ivan, what do we mean when we say truth engine?
Well, I guess first of all, I'd like to open it up before I answer that question, that right now we're living in this era of amazing speed of information transfer. It's like lightning fast. But the issue is we're living in a world where there's a line between fact and fiction with that information, and we need tools to sort that out. So in the sense of the clip you'll see today, it's how to build a truth engine. It's kind of identifying and addressing this issue, a very big issue of misinformation, disinformation, and more importantly, what are the tools that can be applied to addressing this issue. As for the standpoint, the truth engine is really an AI system that has the ability to sort and search through massive quantities of information and identify falsehoods, and at the same time, separate fact from fiction. The idea here behind the truth engine that we premise in the movie is that we build an engine that can do this at scale and again identify and get to truth and share that truth to the world. So with that in mind, it's important to realize what's at risk. And the risk is, I think we all know it, the issues of instability in our society, healthcare, we've seen it, but most importantly, it could be directly a major risk to our democracy. So from the standpoint as we as leaders, it's important that we get to the truth of it. And so from the standpoint of how to build a truth engine's about, the clip you're gonna see, which is a short trailer, a 3-minute trailer about a film that not only takes you on a journey of understanding what's going on in the world from the standpoint of journalism, but also probing into aspects of the neuroscience. How do we process information? And why do some of us, go into the deep dark hole of taking on misinformation? But again, trying to leave hope that we do have tools, and the AI tools we see certainly could be the answers to address this.
Vwani,
Yes.
I'm going to want you to comment on this, right? Because your work encompasses understanding the connections between engineering, physics, biology, and society, looking through the lens of computation and informational science. I think about all those disciplines coming together. What's going on here?
Well, I can only tell you what I think is going on, and hopefully that's in sync with the truth, right? So if you see, misinformation and disinformation is nothing new. So let me read you a canto from Virgil's Aeneid, the great Roman epic. Rumor traveled immediately through the cities of Libya. Rumor, no other evil can move more quickly. She grows with speed and acquires strength and motion. At first, she is small from fear, but soon she raises herself to the sky. So the rumor, misinformation is part of, unfortunately, what we humans are. And in 1515, there was a completely fake book written, which was it's called Letters from Obscure Men. So these were letters written by the humanists in Germany, but assuming these were supposed to be letters amongst clerics of the Catholic Church. And in 1517, you had the Protestant Reformation movement led by Martin Luther, and this book played a huge important role in triggering the Reform movement. So misinformation and narratives have been used for better and for worse. So my interest was, as I was getting into AI, that can really, I call it the aliens' human problem. If aliens broke into our backbone, right, internet backbone, and got all the information, like what has happened with ChatGPT, can it reverse engineer our human brains, the way we think? So there goes the main question to me to ask would be, why is suddenly generative AI considered a threat or considered a revolution? AI has been around for a long time. The primary reason is, much against the expectations of all the scientists who are now also proclaiming major predictions about the future, the AI just did not understand perceptual information. It was very bad. It sucked at understanding images, videos, even language. ChatGPT came up with it, and now the video LLM, it understands scenes. It understands text the way a human would. It can parse it. And that's what really has been the excitement, and that's why we feel also threatened. Though somehow they can, this machine, this AI, can really talk like me, can really create images like I would, or can understand me. But a lot of the understanding that we're projecting is happening in our brain. So the disinformation and misinformation works because of who we are as a human. And that's what I think the main message of this film is, that it's so easy to program us, and we carry a huge baggage. So this point was built, the point was raised that the ChatGPT, it has been trained on all our baggage. We humans, we have been trained in all our baggage. So it is basically reflecting back to us what our biases are. And its job is to hallucinate. It's not that it's a bug. It's a feature, it hallucinates. Some are facts. Just as we humans, if you tell someone, hey, did you know that something in that country, that's, of course that happens. If you go to the country, it never happens that way. So the message is, to me, that misinformation, disinformation will exist. Now it's on steroid. At the speed of nanoseconds, AI can generate anything you want it to generate, right? And we work at the speed of 1/3 of a second, 350 milliseconds. So unless we ban the internet, unless we stop doing commerce on the internet, we have to find a way to go and mine this data being generated. And some of that data would be the type of narratives that are going on everywhere. And some of them are very bad narratives, conspiracy theories based on no evidence. But sometimes, much to our discomfort and chagrin, evidence that come out later would be considered as conspiracy theories. So I'm not defending conspiracy theories, but if someone told you, oh, the US military went around injecting radioactive injections in people, at that time it would be considered conspiracy theory. But the thing is that during in the Pacific Samoa and all, that was done. So it's a balance. So maybe we can go to my presentation, right? At this point.
Roll the film.
So being a professor, I have PowerPoint. Sorry to bring you to class, in a class, but. So we have been working for the past 10 years in my lab along with a computational folklorist, someone who does folklores, Professor Timothy Tangerlini, and he got a promotion and moved over to Berkeley from UCLA. And the goal of this is reading and understanding unstructured text like a human would. Next slide, please. So we all know this ecosystem of narratives. So narratives are important. That's how you sell your products. That's how you sell your services. You create a narrative. Everything, human beings don't exist without narratives. No matter what you experience, there is a structure, there is a process, it fits, it pleases some people, it displeases some people, you do something, you get something. So narratives exist. And narratives are not what the reality is. You can make it into a reality, and many of you are very good salespeople, marketing people. You transfer your own narrative into a reality by having people buy it. But now there's that ecosystem is on steroids. Real things happen, then news articles come out about it, then the whole social media, different echo chambers, they spin narratives, and then it goes back. So then what is the structure of a narrative? And can an AI tool go through all these petabytes of data and reconstruct what people are talking about? So next slide, please. So the tool that we have built, it's always in the process, but its goal is to experience the internet scale data as a human would. And that's what LLMs really have, whether it's false, whether it's wrong, whether it's true, it understands, it reads, it looks at images, it looks at videos like a human would. And that is the biggest thing that has happened. See, soon, as you are all talking about, LLMs and this generative AI will be absorbed under your many services and products. And it's not that interesting to be human for us humans. We don't like, it's not surprising. We do the most amazing things. We are a miracle every day, but it's passé for us, right? Blasé, oh, okay, that person did this, okay. But if you really want to make a robot talk like us, maybe, right? So anyway, so can we go through all this text, right, and break it up into narrative? So what is a narrative? It turns out that the stories we tell have a particular structure. There is, we do something, there are different people's objects, which we call actants, and they interact with each other. But why do they interact with each other? Well, each actor or actant has to do something which is human. And the way the humans work is form in groups and out groups. Always we are building nations, you are building companies. So when you work for Amazon, you are an Amazonian, and you have to compete with the Googlers. All right, the Googlers are them. You are inside. And then, of course, we know many things happen, right? And so you build an insider, you build an outsider, and then you have a strategy. Like, okay, why do I not like the outsiders? Why are they outsiders? Because they are against some interest that you want to achieve. And so you want to oppose them, and then you have a strategy. How do I eliminate the outsiders, right? It goes to an extreme, like it becomes a religious, almost your moral authority to go kill people because they're the outsiders. That's like an extreme, right? So next, please. So here is an example. What LLM allows you to. This is a social media post that I think the tech will kill me with vaccines. By the way, these posts is a real post, from the COVID era. People like Bill Gates are developing this for the money. My friend Sarah, who is a doctor, told me not to get the vaccine because it causes smallpox. So forget about the content of it. See, you humans, us humans, immediately know what is going on here. What is going on here? The ones in the blue are my side, like I am, of course, on my side, right? And the ones in the red are the outgroup. So I'm against tech. Why am I against tech? Because it creates, because it'll kill me with vaccines. I'm against Bill Gates in this because he's helping people develop vaccines, right? So a human, if you were reading it, you would do this. LLM now can do this if you train it properly. If you refine the LLM models, this is the result of one of our software stack that we have built. But this technology is not, so can I go to the next slide, please? So for this technology, if you change it, make the tech the insider and the vaccine the outsider, then it will do the same thing because it's understanding the language. It's understanding the intent of the language. So if you could build something like this, which can go through every post. So how about images? I have a good one on images, the next one. Here is an image. An image tells worth 1,000 words, right? So here I give a thing, can you describe what the image, what is the message? And it comes back with exactly what a human would. Next slide, please. So see, it understands that what the message is. So now, with the advances in LLM, with the advances in AI, you can now perceive the outside world the way the human would. So here is one application of that, is the summary slide, please. Next slide. So one application of that is that in a scalable way, you can go through the volumes of social content, internet data, and then piece it together, break up everything from the lens of how a human would, and then reconstruct the patterns that are there, the different narratives that are going on. And they can be represented as cute networks. You know, their actors, how they are doing, how are they interacting, who's a threat, what is the strategy, all that can be put in. But going back to what Ivan said, we cannot really tell from this, just from the text. You have to bring in other knowledge to know whether this is true or false. See, that is often, that's where the human brain comes in. No matter what the facts are, each one of us would not believe it, given the right context. You know, given that it really goes for who you are, you would not believe facts. It will be a lot of therapy, hours of therapy, making therapists rich before you are going to accept a truth. So truth, falsehood, what the film does is gives you an insight into why humans believe how they believe.
And that's what I want to kind of come back to you, Ivan, back with the film, right? In making the film and the powerful nature of narratives. What are the 3 or 4 key messages for those who, when they get a chance to see this film, that they're going to walk away with?
Well, one of the things it will bring to mind is the information that we see on the internet and news. What you'll see is, number one, we give a very strong aspect to journalism. And as we see journalism, newspapers disappearing. And now the bar has been raised that simply writing it in the New York Times is not enough. So one of the aspects of the movie, it really presents New York Times has moved to what we call a visual investigative unit to corroborate information, such as there is a situation in Bucha, Ukraine, where there's people lying in the street dead, and the Russians said that those were actors laying in the street. Thanks to visual investigative journalism, they disproved all that because of satellite imagery, security cameras in homes. But this is kind of now the bar has been raised. So number one, it's about literally thinking about the information you're getting and validating the truth of it. The second piece, and I think probably one of the most important parts, is really gaining a deep understanding of how we process information and why do some of us fall into the trap, fall into the deep dark zone in people sometimes moving from, I was really from a fact-based perspective, but why, and the issues about how you resonate to your beliefs, how information expands and elaborates and inflames those beliefs, and you start going down that rabbit.
That's the neuroscience.
That's the neuroscience. And then, of course, the aspect of the story miner tool that came out of UCLA and Vwani's lab and Dr. Holar, and that aspect of it's a tool, a research level tool that really will help us. And we hear so much about AI being an evil, you know, it's misinformation, disinformation, oh, AI must be the culprit. No, we're talking about AI can be a solution to help us get out of that nest. So those are the key messages, and I think probably the most important, it's up to each one of us to inspire organizations with truth and integrity and keep a very strong tone and set that example as leaders, because truth is the truth and we need to stand up for it.
And again, we've got a minute and a half left, and I'm going to ask you to really pull that thread a little bit more, because this is an audience of mostly business people, right? And so in putting this into a business context and the conversation you would hope that people would take back and create in their organization, what would you want that to be?
Yeah, well, the fundamental things is we talked about the theory of it, but you are certainly aware of the 5G COVID situation from years ago, the Chipotle. These are business impactful issues dealing exactly with misinformation. And the difficult piece is when you combine truth with the expansion of misinformation, you got a real concoction. So you as organizational leaders really have to make sure you establish a very clear precedent, and not just it's a moral imperative, it's a strategic advantage to have integrity and truth resonate throughout your organizations.
Vwani, same question to you. What do business people need to take back and start the conversation in their organization?
Oh, first you can start a startup and I'll give you an idea. Okay. Remember the days of advertisements, online advertisement, how you know exactly where every individual is going and what they're looking at. So the problem with this disinformation is there are core believers, you know. You can never convert them. But people like you and I can get exposed to that misinformation and then get pretty much infected. And these people can be, you know, can be reformed. So use the ad platform that whenever you see such people consuming such information, put your own ad and then generate LLM truths based on LLM so that you can inoculate them further. That was one startup idea, right?
Okay, we need.
I would like to make one last point,
Please.
if I may. One of the things I didn't mention, we premiered this movie at the South by Southwest Festival. George Clooney is one of my executive producers with his partner, Grant Heslov. So if you're going, how do I see this? Well, two ways is you can go to Leeds, England next month or to Washington, D.C. But more importantly, I'll offer this up to the organization. We are looking for people who'd like to sponsor an individual corporate review and screening of the film. So please contact me.
Great, great. Vwani, Ivan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Please help me thank our panelists today.
Thank you all.
Thank you.